Donald Trump has thrown elections in Canada, Australia, and now the Vatican. The election of the new Pope, Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost, was held under the shadow of Orange Mussolini and in many ways as a reaction to him. The eyes of the world were glued on St. Peter's Square as the selection of the Pope, the Bishop of Rome, was finalized in only 4 ballots. The anticipation outside was at a fever pitch for a reason. Francis spent his career trying to emphasize that Christianity is about mercy and caring for the marginalized more than it is a list of rules, many of which have no credibility. So the biggest question facing the conclave was whether the conclave would pick someone who would carry on the mission of Francis, of caring for the poor, the environment, and non-Christians, or whether they would select someone who would reverse the direction Francis was steering towards. The enormously high stakes of that direction is something that Americans in particular can understand. Extremist Republican nominees elected president have included Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, George W. Bush, and Donald Trump, and every one of them tore at the fabric of America and made the country a worse place than when they found it. Modern Catholicism finds itself remarkably like American politics, with left-wing and right-wing Catholics battling for hegemony and the direction of the church, with the pay, pray, and obey crowd looking to the church to validate their privilege, and the social justice-oriented Catholics urging the church to do more for the poor, the marginalized, and the oppressed. Francis, who adored the liturgy and the sacraments of Roman Catholicism, nonetheless made clear that he wanted the church to be a field hospital for the wounded. In the selection of Cardinal Prevost, the conclave made clear that they wanted to continue the legacy of Francis. Both men originate from the Americas, both come from religious orders, and both served the poor. Pope Francis in Argentina, and Prevost as a missionary in Peru. For centuries, though, it was thought impossible for a pope to come from the Americas, and now it's 2 popes in a row. This time around, it was thought completely impossible for an American to become pope, precisely because of Donald Trump wreaking havoc on the world. So the thinking was that there was no way a conclave would place world power in the hands of another American. And yet, it is precisely because Trump is destroying the fabric of international relations. It is exactly because Trump is doing his best to consolidate wealth into the hands of billionaires that the conclave knew they could not select a clock turner, that they must look for a continuation of the Francis papacy, and not an accommodationist that would look the other way on the maldistribution of wealth. The White House issued a statement under Trump's name, but you can tell Trump didn't write it. Congratulations to Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost, who was just named Pope. It is such an honor to realize that he is the first American Pope. What excitement and what a great honor for our country. I look forward to meeting Pope Leo XIV. It will be a very meaningful moment. Oh, it'll be a meaningful moment, all right. Cardinal Robert Prevost picked the name Leo for a reason. The last pope named Leo is the founder of Catholic social teaching and wrote the famous papal encyclical Rerum Novarum, which talked about the rights of workers and unions and called upon business owners to recognize the dignity of labor. Frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if Pope Leo hands off a meeting with Trump to a subordinate, or at least pushes it off for a very long time. And Trump's anti-immigrant rhetoric is not going to be welcomed by Pope Leo. It's going to be condemned, just like with Francis. Pope Leo spent 20 years as a missionary in Peru. You think he's going to have a soft spot for that kind of rhetoric? So if MAGA was hoping to get back in the good graces of the Bishop of Rome, then they are crying a river. Because not only is this a pope who rejects white Christian nationalism, he rejects any kind of ideology of privilege, especially race. White superiority from a man who spent 20 years ministering to the poor of Peru, yeah, that's not going to happen. With the election of Pope Leo, the Catholic Church is making a clear statement. Social justice is still the most important mandate. Now, it'll only be a matter of time before right wing media will find a way to criticize Leo. But for now, there's only one very clear problem with this pontiff. In all likelihood, he's a Chicago Bears fan. St. Vincent of Lombardy is surely weeping. I'm Anthony Vincent Gallo for Occupy Democrats.